Hi guys, well today we're going to be looking at something which is perhaps quite a bit different from the usual products that we look at on the channel, but I'm sure many of you will find it of interest. This here is the Opia 2 and it is a high-end dashcam from VICOVATION. Now in the past couple of years, popularity and demand for dashcams has been rapidly increasing as we see more and more insurance scams and we see hit and runs taking place. Having a dashcam is a no-brainer for a lot of drivers out there, as it kind of takes away that need for a human witness and it presents all the details and the absolute truth. Now Vico as a brand are well known in the field of vehicle dashcams for their Marcus series. Opia 2 is a new series and it is the first camera there to feature the Umbrella A12 processor. So Opia 2, among other things, is equipped with 2K support and it arrives in a compact and a well-built enclosure. Now in terms of the cost, you guys can pick this up here for around $169 in the UK and then $250 in the US. But included in today's review, we're actually going to be having a look at some of the optional extras that you can get with this camera. So that will kind of nudge the price up a little bit more. Now as far as dashcams go, this one here is a top-end model. And so we expect good things from this camera here today. So let's begin. Right guys, well we're going to begin with an unboxing, having a look at the packaging and also just showing you guys what is included in the bundled accessories. So this is our box. It arrives in, as you can see, looks very tidy. On the back there we've got all the features listed and they've just done a great job with that packaging. So if we just slide this out, you can see, just take this out, look at that, all the cardboard out of the way just to begin with. There we go. So we have our camera to begin with, as you can see. We have some adapters which you use to mount your camera. We've got one there for the CPL filter. We've got one there which is a suction pad. A smaller one there which is a fixed, permanent fixture there where you peel the tape off and attach that to your windscreen. Here's the cable for the power. That is USB to a cigarette lighter. That is 4 meters long, so you get a lot of cable there. We have the documentation, warranty card for all that detailing, and then we have the user guide, which is very comprehensive. So if you get stuck with anything, then resort to that because that is covering everything. It is very extensive and lots of details in there in regards to different settings. Now there are some additional items which you can purchase separately which will extend the functionality of Opia 2. And the first one here is Power Plus. So with this device here, we can actually record while the engine is switched off. So this might be handy if you are, say for example, in a car park and you want to pick up on any incidents that might occur. Someone might drive into your car and drive off and you've got damage to your vehicle and you want to get that license plate and report who did it. And so this device here allows you to do that. It basically runs off your battery and connects up to your fuse box. If you just have a look at it here, this is the device here. And you can actually have temperature control and voltage control. So if your battery goes below a certain value, this will cut off and it won't drain that battery. Now this is quite a technical type of device. Some of you guys might not be comfortable with fitting this yourself, but obviously you can take it to a local garage and they will obviously fit that for you for a small fee. There is actually a manual here which takes you through all that process. If you wanted to kind of have a go at it yourself, a bit of a DIYer, then you can give that a shot and try it out. Now Opia 2 doesn't come with GPS built in, and so we have an independent device here which takes care of this. This is the GPS mouse, and so if you're wanting some GPS functionality, then you're going to be able to use this. This connects up to the camera with USB, and then you stick that on your windscreen. So this gives us the tracking which GPS allows, and we also get things like the overspeed protection that will warn you if you go over a certain speed limit, and also we get the collision warning system. So if you're in a certain distance to the vehicle in front, it will give you a warning. And the last item is a CPL filter. Now for those who aren't aware, a CPL filter darkens the skies, it manages reflections and suppresses glare. And so if you are finding footage being affected in this type of way, then it's well worth grabbing one of these. So if I just take this out here, you can see this is the filter here, and with the attachment we can just screw that in. It's got a tiny thread there just on the outside, and just turning that clockwise, that attaches, as you can see, and that clamps onto the camera. Okay, well this is the Opia 2. Now dashcams arrive in a variety of different shapes and sizes, and you can quite clearly see here that Opia 2 is rectangular and it sits in a vertical position. So for those wanting to keep things inconspicuous, Opia 2 should be able to fit behind that rear view mirror, or if not, just over to the side. For scale, here is the camera right next to a Samsung smartphone, and this just gives you an idea there of the scale. But the actual dimensions for this unit are as follows. It is around 72mm long, 53mm wide, and then just 33mm deep. So that should give you a rough idea there of the size, and it highlights really just how small this camera is. Okay, now we'll jump straight into the resolution detailing for this camera. There are 4 different resolutions which can be selected. We have 2560 by 1440, which operates at 30 frames per second. We have 2304 by 1296, which operates at 30 frames per second. 1920 by 1080, which you can either have 30 frames or 60 frames per second. And we have 1280 by 720, which again offers 30 or 60 frames. Now all of those are going to allow you to use high dynamic range, that is HDR, except for 1080p and 720p at 60 frames. And so we have 1440p, 1296p, 1080p and 720p all available on this camera. Obviously choosing the highest resolution is going to mean that you'll be able to zoom in there on the detail much easier, something which might be useful if you do have to report any license plates or anything else. However, you may wish to have more fluid playback, in which case 1080p at 60 frames is the better option. You know, it all really depends on your requirements. Now, at the very heart of Opia 2 is the Umbrella A12, which is driven by an ARM Cortex A9 processor. One of the major pitfalls with dashcams in the past has been overheating, but A12 combats this, and it actually operates under a 23nm process, bringing in that 1440p resolution and offering features like better stabilization. And so if you are looking for a camera, then A12 is a good route to take. Some other things to note is that Opia 2 has a sensor which is 4 megapixel, with a lens that is 6G and offers an aperture of f-stop 2. And we also get our recordings using the H.264 codec, rendering out there in MP4. And all of that sets the foundation for good low light with sharp images. But of course anything can be good on paper, can't it? So later on we will be testing out this camera to see how it performs when we hit the road. Okay, so looking at our camera, on the front side, as we've already mentioned, we have a vertical arrangement with that lens there at the bottom. Around that lens we have this mint coloured ring, and there is also some branding just above it, again in the same colour. Now this styling does inevitably draw attention from outside, and that can be viewed as a positive or a negative. Positive because it alerts people that you do have a camera, but negative because in some countries if a crackhead sees this camera they're likely to break in and steal it. However, if you do attach the CPL filter, this is all hidden. At the very top we have the bracket which marries up to either of the screen mounts. All you have to do is position up and slide. Now the suction pad is more of a portable attachment because you're going to be able to remove this from the vehicle in an ad hoc type of way. Whereas the other attachment is both shorter in its distance to the screen, and once that protective film is removed, you generally stick this onto the windscreen and you just leave it as a permanent fixture. Both of those attachments use a ball socket, so you can rotate the camera around in a 360-degree manner, which is quite handy if you have an incident occurring there on the left or the right hand side of you. Over on the left side we have these 2 mini USB ports. Now the top one there is used for powering Opia 2, while the lower port there is used for the GPS mouse. Now the GPS mouse is an optional extra, and what it basically allows you to do is tap into additional features which may be of interest, such as overspeed warning with vehicle speed overlay, and being GPS, the date and time is going to be specified automatically. And there are also other features like forward collision warning system, which alerts you if you're too close to the vehicle ahead. Over on the other side there is a micro SD slot which supports SDHC and SDXC cards. Now since Opia 2 supports 2K resolution, there is a requirement for at the very least a class 10 card, and the great thing is we also have support there for up to 128 gig. So for this review we bought in this Lexar 64GB UHS-1 card, which gives you a transfer rate there of up to 95 megasecond, and it is suitable for 4K capture as well. And actually this card was quite inexpensive, and yet it will guarantee that we get a smooth playback and enough space there for almost 500 minutes at 1080p. Over on the back side of Opia 2, we have this 2-inch LCD, which provides you with a live feed of the action ahead, and it provides you with the ability there to play back any footage that you might want to have a look at. As well as that, we also have quite a feature-packed menu system with this lineup of buttons along the bottom. So from left to right, we have a button which doubles up as emergency record and return within the menu, a confirm button, a menu button which allows you to go up, a mute button which disables the sound recording from the mic, and that also doubles up to allow you to navigate down in the menu. And then finally, we have the power button. Now typically if you have everything plugged in, Opia 2 will boot up automatically, but that button there allows you to manually start up. So we'll just connect our camera up. And as you can see there, it doesn't take very long at all. Now some cameras can take up to 2 minutes to boot and begin recording, which can be problematic, as if you do need to start your engine up and get going immediately, you're gonna miss some time there off your recordings. Now actually I currently use a black view camera and this takes around 30 seconds to load up, and so Opia 2 with its fast boot up is excellent in this regard. Okay, so let's take a look at the menu system. So hitting that menu button there takes us to a panel here with all these options. And we're not going to go into all these sections here, but we're going to check out video. So the first option there is resolution, and inside there we have everything from 1440p to 720p. And going back, we have options there for altering the exposure, and we can also tweak the loop recording length to either 3 or 5 minute clips. And if we go into function, most of these options here concern the GPS mouse, allowing you to apply the timestamp and change things like the speed unit between kilometers and miles per hour. And then last of all, let's just have a look at display. So inside here we can modify things like how long the screen stays active for, which by default is always on. If you prefer to keep things discreet, you can always have that set to 15 seconds, turn off the audio, and then perhaps even tweak the LCD brightness by lowering it. And we've also got options there for flipping the image vertically or in a horizontal movement. And the other options inside this menu system allow you to adjust the audio levels, check out your recorded footage, and modify system settings like the language, and of course update the firmware. And so overall, the menu is easy to use and it has all the options there that you could really want. Right guys, well we've taken a detailed look at all the features that Opia 2 has to offer, and we've had a look at that menu system, but that is only half the story. This camera looks great on paper, but does it perform well out on the road? Well, to answer that, here is the footage that we captured recently with this camera, both in 1080p and 1440p. That completes our review of the Opia 2. Now, we've had previous experience there with other dash cams, and we can definitely say from start to finish, from the packaging to the end product, you're getting an excellent camera here in this Opia 2. It comes with those multiple mounting adapters, so you can either have it fixed or you can have it portable. And while other things there like the CPL filter and the GPS mouse, the Power Plus, will need to be purchased separately, it's great that we have access there to such extras to kind of extend that functionality. Now, turning to the unit itself, there is so many good things to talk about with the Opia 2. The housing itself is quite small, it's quite compact, and so if you need to kind of tuck it away, then you should be able to. The build quality again is very good as well. And the menu system, easy to use, and it has all the options in there that you could kind of ever need, and to get the most out of your dashcam experience. And the footage which you guys have just kind of looked at and witnessed, you've seen there just how brilliant 1440p is and 1080p, and we have that nice wide angle. The image quality is good in daytime and also in low light. Now obviously choosing between which preset to go with will be down to personal preference, but really for me, I would be going with 1440p, compromising on 30 frames over the 60 that you get with 1080, as you're going to be able to enlarge and kind of magnify your footage and perhaps get extra detail there if an incident does occur. So that is pretty much it for me today, guys. I have been told by Vico that they will be releasing more models under the Opia series, and so when those become available, I'm sure we'll be letting you know what we think of them. So thanks for watching today, guys. I hope you did find it useful, hope you enjoyed it. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe for more of the same. Take care, and I will see you guys very soon.